Welcome to Froerer Farms. Family run for 3 generations in beautiful Nyssa, Oregon, we've created quite a legacy. What started as rented farmland and equipment has blossomed into 3,300 acres of agricultural success. As common sense farmers, Froerer Farms carefully grows 8 different crops in rotation in order to keep the soil healthy and usable for years to come. The most successful crop is our onions, which produce enough to feed over 2.8 million people. Straight from the field to our state-of-the-art packing shed, we monitor every step of the process to guarantee great quality produce that is shipped to our loyal customers through our thriving sister company, Owyhee Produce. This 60-year legacy was founded by Owen and his wife Colleen and passed down to each generation that followed.
I'll start by telling you a little about my life. I was born in Utah. I lived in Eden. They built a Pine View reservoir where I lived, and so that flooded where I was raised. And so my dad elected when I was 14 to move to Vail, Oregon. Very good time of my life when we moved. I thought it was the saddest, but it turned out to be the best.
I'm Colleen Froerer, Colleen Bybee Froerer. I came here in the community in the Nyssa area in 1940 probably, and I think my uncles had given my dad enough money to come up here and buy a farm, and they were here already, so they recommended that he came. My dad thought it was good that we kids learned how to work, and I think all of us did. I had 3 brothers. Sometimes that was an advantage, sometimes it was a disadvantage. My brothers, Jay, Ray, and Gary. And Jay was in the service in the World War II, and he's since passed away, and my other brother, Ray, still lives in Brigham City. He was in the Air Force. And then my brother, Gary, who runs the Fiesta Farms here in Nyssa. I
got out of school and was going to go on a mission for the church, and while I was waiting for my call, I got drafted, so I went to Korea. And I went to Korea and joined the Korean War. And as I got off the ship in Busan, they told me that they'd signed the peace treaty. So that couldn't have been a better day. And then I got out of the Army and I come home and married my sweetheart, Colleen.
Owen, I met him when he was in Vail. I went to Boise to work at GMC. I was there for 2 years, and he went to the service. When he came home one time, he asked me to marry him, and that was when we got engaged. We were married, and then we came back to Nyssa and decided to farm, and he farmed with Dad for a while.
Okay, when I come home, I worked with my father-in-law, and he didn't ever let me just have anything, but he let me get a field parcel to ground. The first one was total failures. First we started with 1,100 chickens, and that was really a dud, because I worked for them guys, and I had to get up at 4 o'clock and feed the chickens, and then go to work at 7 for them, and then come home and do it again, and all day Colleen was gathering eggs. So that wasn't a good experience. Besides that, we didn't make any money. Then I drew a farm on my GI Bill in Washington, and we talked about going up there and farming. And when I just told them I just had some chickens, they didn't think that was too good an idea, because I didn't have any equipment. But anyway, as I started, my father-in-law had do jobs for me and charged me what he thought it cost him to do them, and that's the way we started.
Since then, with all our kids, we had children, Randy and Craig and Robin and Charla, and they've been a joy in our life. They've been our life. Randy and Craig have both farmed all their lives. When they're little, that's what they did. They went with their dad all day. They learned how to do anything on the farm that they needed to do. The girls helped a little bit too, but not near as much as the boys did on the farm.
I'm Craig Froerer. I was born in Nyssa, Oregon, and I've been in Nyssa 57 years later. The direction you're looking is the first house that I lived in, and then I moved with my parents when I was about 4 years old to the house where my parents presently live, which is about a quarter-mile away. So I've been there my entire life. Been involved with farming with my dad for that length of time, and had some great experiences.
But let me tell you about my boys a little. Randy and Craig, when they were very young, they started working with me, and they drove tractor and stuff when they were really young, and I done lots of irrigating for babies, and they always went with me, and they didn't. And I had a Jeep, and I learned them how to drive, and I had one of them driving, and we come out here into the shop at my house, and they hit the pole that holds the shop up and took half of it off, and it's still just wired up out there.
My brother and I were born, we were 13 months apart. He being a little bit older than me, and we got to work with my dad, like I said, from the word go. From I think probably the age of 4 or 5 we were going with my dad. We were probably more of a headache than we were a blessing to have us with him, but we would go and we would move the Jeep forward. We probably ended up pulling the Jeep out. We wrecked the Jeep a few times and got us stuck a lot of times as we were trying to pull it forward so my dad didn't have to walk backwards. But it was a great experience to start doing that at such a young age.
Robin Froerer. I'm Owen's third child. I think I'm his favorite. Been working on the farm since I was very young. In high school, we worked out in the fields. We used to have crews that would go out and work in the fields. To this day, I think they tell me that we didn't work very much, that we used to play around a lot, which I'm sure we did our share of. But I think we got a little bit of work done. So from working in the fields, I was able to gain a great work ethic. That's one thing that our family has been able to obtain well. We all, I think, enjoy working, maybe working a little bit too much, but we work hard and we play hard.
Shea Meyers. I am the grandson of Owen Froerer. The farm has always been a part of my life, and some of the first memories I have, the very first memory, not only of the farm but of my life, is being out at, I don't even know, 4, 5, 6 years old with Grandpa. I was doing water with him, and we were walking along the ditch bank. And as I was walking, I slipped on the edge of the cement because I probably had, muddy feet, and fell into the ditch head first. And all I can remember is Grandpa's hand kind of, reaching down that powerful hand and just plucking me out of the water, and him grabbing me and wrapping me in one of his jackets and sitting on the floor of the pickup underneath the heater trying to stay warm. It's funny what kind of memories stick with you, but that's one of the very, like I said, the very first and most powerful memories that I have.
My name's Chase Froerer. I'm the grandson of Owen Froerer, the oldest son of Craig Froerer, and a third-generation farmer. I grew up here on the farm, so I have lots of memories, lots of playing, lots of working, a little bit of both all the time. One of my favorite memories as far as playing and growing up here on the farm by the shop is just playing on all the equipment and being able to just kind of mess around when I was a kid and swimming in the canals and doing all that kind of stuff. And we also got the opportunity to learn how to work, and that's, I think, a really good thing. We weeded fields, we rode on onion harvesters, potato harvesters, rode with my dad and just enjoyed time with him.
So I'm Jake May. I'm also a son-in-law to Craig, so I married his youngest daughter. And I think I came back here, I think this is the 6th year we've been back. And one of the things that drew me back here, I guess, was, well, the main part is it was, my wife's family and my family's close, and that made it easy. But it was an operation that I think they had a vision to get bigger and better. And that's what I was hoping for, is I wanted to evolve and grow and become more. And so that was a real exciting part to me, is that they had a vision. They just built a packing shed and they were buying ground, and there was a door opening there for us to enter. And then, like I said, the main thing was just family, being around close to my family and close to her family. That was a major plus. Farming in general, I think, for me though, has been one of those things that, I mean, it may sound cliche or corny, but I was just born with it in my blood. Like, I grew up on a farm and that's all I've ever known. And being out here in the, I don't know, I guess you call it fresh air, or just being out and about really makes it so that I can feel alive and I enjoy my job. I don't do good inside.
One of my worst and probably most memorable memories is on the straw machine. Working lots of days, putting the straw down, one of the dirtiest jobs on the farm. I remember one time in particular, Shea was driving and Drew and I were on the straw machine, and Drew had brought some fireworks, and we had let a few strings go through the straw machine, which is a bad thing, but Drew got this idea that when Shea would go down and start cutting some of those strings out, he'd let some fireworks drop down there. And I just remember Shea popping up and hitting his head and going nuts on us, and I just remember lots of times picking on Shea, and it was it was a good time. One of the reasons I came back is just the way that you can grow up, the way that you can raise a family on a farm. I don't think there's any place better in the world that you can raise a family. You know, you get the opportunity to teach your kids how to work. They can come out with you and spend time with you in tractors. Just the whole idea of farming to me is very enticing. Just the way that farming is embracing technology, how farming continues to grow, and how important it really is to the world that, you know, these young farmers keep coming back. You know, are all reasons that I came here. I enjoy the lifestyle, I enjoy being outside, I enjoy watching, you know, you plant these crops, and you're basically relying on the Lord to help your crops come, and you know, you're exercising that faith to watch that seed grow, and you do the things that you need to do, and you spend a lot of time with them, and hope that you know, when harvest time comes around, that those crops are what you want them to be, and you can provide for your family. And that really entices me to the farm.
This community in general, it's pretty special because there's not a whole lot of, I guess what you would call corporate farms. You know, they're very big farms, but they're still family owned. The owner is a guy that you'll see in the grocery store, or the owner is a guy that you'll see at church, or a guy you'll see walking his dog at the park. You know, there are people that live here, there are people that know the people that work for them and with them. Whereas in other farming communities, it's become this corporate business where you may not, I mean, the owner may live in Kansas or somewhere totally different, and you have no idea. I don't know, it keeps it like it used to be way back in the day when there was just a mom and pop operation, and that's still, we try and manage it so we can support multiple families, but keep it as an in-house operation. And so this area really strives with that.
Having the family farm is a great thing. We're able to enjoy a lot of time together. I work with Shea in the office, who is my son, and it's fun to have Owen come in the office every day and have him check on us and see how things are running and operating.
I've been very blessed to live here and to raise my family here, and my kids are now raising their families here, and I've been able to take my kids out and have them be a part of our farming operation, and to operate equipment and do those things.
Owen's dream was to always be able to bring his children back and help them do what they wanted to do and have a living and be together. And that's just what's happened. He now has Shea, who runs the shed, Craig, who runs the farm, and Robin, who helps Shea at the shed, Charlotte, who helps me with the bookkeeping. And then he has Craig's son, Chase, and his daughter's husband, Jake, and his daughter's Jordan's husband, Kirk.
We've been really fortunate in the business world. I don't take all the credit. I have my son Craig, and then Shea, and the rest of my grandsons, and some grandson-in-laws that work with me. We've done really been lucky and done well. Like I say, I really accomplished the American dream. I started out super poor, and we ended up, we're not the richest people in town, but we're sure not the poorest. We have quite a bit going for it. I'd like to just say that this has been a great country to live in. This has been, the opportunities are great. You could never do what I've done nowadays. it would cost too much. It's beyond real what we done.